what does an abusive relationship look like? What does it happen when it's not so obvious and so striking? And I think one of the biggest red flags for me is when someone tries to exercise in a marriage, when someone tries to exercise their no. When they try to say, no, I don't want to do that, or no, I don't like that, or no, that won't work for me. And another person doesn't show respect for that person's agency, for their ability to choose no. And I think this happens particularly strongly in Christian marriages where women have been taught that they're not allowed to say no. They're not allowed to say no to sex. They're not allowed to say no to anything because they're supposed to submit. And so it gets really murky here in the counseling process because when a woman says, no, I don't want to, I don't like it, I don't think this is right, not even in the sexual realm, but financially or other kinds of things, does she have that right? Or does her husband own her as a property that she has no right as a slave? As a child, all those kind of metaphors come to mind as someone who does not have agency. And so I think one of the things that I look for is what happens in a disagreement? That tells me more about an abusive relationship than anything. Does she have a no? Can she say she doesn't like it? Can she put her foot down and make a decision saying, hey, I'm not willing to do that? And is she respected as a human being, as a woman of wisdom in that relationship? Or is she overruled? Is she gaslit? Is she scolded? Is she spiritually shamed? Is she objectified? You're my wife. Your body is not your own. You owe me sex. We're married. All of that kind of stuff is abusive. And a lot of counselors don't recognize that, especially Christian counselors who believe the same way a man might believe that her body is not her own because it says that in 1 Corinthians 7, but it says a whole lot more than that in 1 Corinthians 7. And I think we get very
Hmm.
muddied in our counseling. So I would say to sum it
Yeah.
up, an abusive relationship is when we demean and disrespect the humanity, the image of God in the other person. God has created all human beings with agency. Even Adam and Eve had the right to say no. And there were consequences to no, but they had the right to say it. And so when we disrespect one another's choices, one another's feelings, one another's body, and then spiritualize that in a marriage, that becomes extremely confusing and destructive to them.